Good morning, Rabbi Isai. What a sheer, what a sheer. First of all, we're live from Park City, Utah. Park City Jewish Collective. In the basement of Park City Jewish Collective. Mayor and Elisa Jacobs. Mamish, unbelievable. The Moedik day, I was able to go out for an hour and 45 minutes. Once again, the knee held up, the hip, not only that, I felt better than I did last time I was skiing. So it was Moedik. I want to show you this beautiful picture they sent me of the shear going on during, I don't know why the button's not working. Oh, delay. The Beis Medrash, there's a lot of people in the Beis Medrash for the English shir, a lot of people in the Beis Medrash for the Hebrew shir. It's a tremendous chizuk. During shir, there were people watching live in Beitar. There's about 20. I'll show you. I actually have a picture or two, so I can show you different pictures that they sent me of during the shir. Rabbi Isai, this is the one and only Akiva Salkowitz, still doing Sanhedrin with us. Here's Akiva, Rabbi Isai. Mark, thank you. But I don't know, for some reason my button is not working. Akiva still daffing. Was noch? Oh. So this was very, very moving. Before I go into any emails, I want to remind the Olam that we're starting Masechtas Makkos in 6 days. It's going to be an interesting time because we're starting 2 days before Pesach. It's a very tough time for people to get into learning. But I want to show you what the Olam, Dov Harris, and the guys are doing in London and in England in general, in Manchester. They're doing this program called Vigat Lebincha. You learn the daf with your son, you learn the daf with your father, you learn the daf with your son-in-law or father-in-law. I'm not making this up just because my son-in-law is here. That's one of the things he said. And I want to show you what kind of matzav they made in London. Check this out. 10-meter posters. I don't know what that is, like 30 feet. Throughout London. Here's another one. 23, you got this. The way it works is you go to join Daf Yomi.com. You can see it on this poster right here. You sign up, and if you do all 23 daf, you're eligible to win 2 flights to Israel, 2 tickets to Israel from anywhere in the world. So far, many people have joined. I don't want to tell you how many because you might not want to join. You think that the odds are against you, but over 1,000 people already joined. So join, get hooked. There's another giant poster. So unbelievable. Yishkoyach to the Chevra in London for putting out these crazy ads, making it a matzav. Tzvi Schuster, 14 on the right. Aaron Schuster on the left. From Wesley, his mother, their Ben Azmanim is off to great start learning Arvei Psachim with Reb Eli Givaldik. Okay. What else do we have? Okay. Elad Jurist. Maybe keep me as anonymous. Elad Jurist. Okay, we'll keep you as anonymous. I joined the daf since the beginning of Baba Mitzia. Now, the thing is that he said maybe. Once he said maybe, maybe there's no anonymous if you say maybe. I joined the daf since the beginning of Baba Mitzia and I love the shares. Since then, I'm with you. I just wanted to share a story of the minutes. I'm working a bit. There are no clients. And I'm open. I don't know why my buttons are not working, Mark. Completely not working. It had impact on his coworkers. Next time, they just broke him. I was with them. Keep on going. I might have skipped a few words. As a side note, I just brought 4 to 5 new people to the share by putting on my status. Rabbi Isai. You don't have to be Dov Harris and buy giant posters 30 feet long. You could put it on your status, and a lot of people will join the share because of it. Just want to know if the Israelis could get the $250. Yes, a guy from the if you join officials program mitzvahmo.com and you haven't been doing the daf in the past, you could join. He has over 400 people that join. If you're in the shir and you bring somebody to the shir, you are eligible for a free Gemara, even an art school with Nikudas, whatever you want. You have to go to joindafyomi.com. Oh, this is a good one. Rebelli, epic meeting today. Taki and I were walking through Kiryat Moshe when all of a sudden someone yells Shamshi. He then looks at Taki and yells Taki. I'm already blushing from embarrassment as I try to figure out if this is my long lost friend or Rebbe from my youth. Turns out he's actually family. Moshe Weiss, a resident of Kiryat Moshe, has been with the shir since Nida, and he watches diligently every single day. I'm assuming he means he's family because he's MDY family. He admitted to not having ever been to the Beis Medrash, even though I'm sure he's been to the Kotel in the last 6 years. Never been to the Beis Medrash. He's saying, if he goes to the Kotel, how did he not come to the Beis Medrash? It's a terrible, terrible taina. Oive. Moshe told us that he prefers to stay nechba lekelim. So I thought that I would take this opportunity to post this picture and expose him in the hopes of embarrassing him enough. Listen, all I could say is that if you need help embarrassing somebody, you came to the right address. I'm here for you. I'll help you out. Let me embarrass him also in public. Beautiful. In hopes that maybe if we embarrass him enough, he'll come to the live share one day. Sometimes that works. You got to shame a person into coming. Hope you're enjoying your trip and missing you in RBS. Shamshi. So what I have to say about this is that if you're part of the share, I met so many people. I know a guy that lives on the block of MDY. On the same block, he's never been into MDY. Some people have different, anxiety or whatever it is. Control, be misgaber, to give chizuk to somebody. You come to a siyum. You go not every day. Once in a while, come break your comfort. Get out of your comfort zone. Come. A bunch of people told me they've broken their comfort zone to come. They listened to it and they appreciated it. Not every time, just one time. This is Yiddish Schwartz. You want to put on some sound, maybe? Shkoyach. At Chazli Lev, I'll say this meanwhile, and then whenever you're ready, push it. At Chazli Lev distribution in Brooklyn this past Sunday, they were giving out food, I guess, for Pesach. I met a few boys who learned the daf. I wanted a nice video to be shown before the shir one morning. And we're all helping, thanking Rabbeim and Moras for the dedication, teaching children. Here's the video, and please show it. Thank you, Rabbi Yidi Schwartz, not Shemi Bro, and LOL. Givaldi. Go.
Wait, I forgot something. This is an important key yet. Good morning, say!
Okay, we got to get going here. The Masech sponsor, the first name is Shmuel Ben Chana, Ettel, and Yosef Chaim Shmuel Ben Alte Nechama by their grateful family. Anonymous. For Hatzlacha B'Parnasa begashmiyot, Cohn in memory of Yechiel Moshe Ben Chaim, who started learning Daf Yomi at age 70. Anonymous. For the unity of the Jewish people. Esterson, with loving gratitude from Wilmington, North Carolina. Thank you for enriching my life with Torah. Monthly sponsors, Yosef, ActualEyes, and Hatzlacha B'Parnasa, and Parnasa Birevach for Baruch, Tzvi, Nissim, Ben Shoshana, Leah. Sponsors, we have one for the month and one for the day. For the month, thank you to Reb Eli's wife and kids for the great sacrifices. You hear this, Lazi? They make allowing him to spread Torah to the masses. Mayor, you're also included in this. To Reb Eli's wife and kids. They, Yacov Slatus, in the schus that he should remain on the daf throughout Pesach. In the schus that he should remain on the daf throughout Pesach. So he donated $180 to have a schus to stay on the daf. Givaldik. It's hard. But you have to think of ways how to make it happen. Daily sponsors, Avram Meir Farkovich, happy birthday, Dasha Zelik Farkovich. May today's learning be a schus for him and the whole family. Joseph Mandelbaum, for the yard side of my little brother and everyone's chaver, Avi Mandelbaum, Olav Shalom. He is so missed. He was so young. He was such a big part of the shir. He was on Zoom every day. He was the first one. He was always on the top. I went to visit him. The first off out of MDY shir ever was in Avi Mandelbaum's house in Moreshet. It's an unbelievable lesson and a loss and everything in between. He actually came to visit me in Chicago with his wife and his daughters. He will be sorely, sorely missed. Shmuli Pesach, in honor of our newborn baby boy, Shalom Zocher, 280 Bradley Avenue, Staten Island, New York, YAWK. Shmuli Pesach. Wow, Shmuli Pesach. Mazel Tov. I didn't have. I'm reading it as I. Wow. Mazal Tov, Mazal Tov. MDY Kids Monthly Innovations, Chus for official Chana Akiva and Rifki and Mrs. Stefansky, Art of the Month, for Shleimo, Yonatan Eitam, Ben Basheva Bracha, for Chus for Rebellion, the whole MDY staff to continue to make Torah so enjoyable for so many, in honor of Yossi Klein and Mark Ashkenazi, For all the work they do, Rabbi say we're holding on the bottom of Kuf Zayin Amud Beis by the Mishnah. So if you're just starting today, it's like a brand new Masechta, it's a brand new topic. It's all Agadita, it's all stories, and today especially, it's all about the Noach and the Teva. It's basically Chazara of everything we learned when we were children in school. Here's the source. Says the Mishnah, Dor HaMabul Ein Lahem Chelik L'Olam Haba. Anybody from the Dor of the Mabul doesn't have a part in Olam Haba, and Oimdim Bedin. Not only don't they have Olam Haba, but they don't even have a din. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not gonna be machshel them at all. They're nothing. They are just like a cat and a dog in the street that dies and nothing happens to them. Shenemar le'yodayin ruchi ba'adam la'olam. So the Mishnah says le'din ve'loy ruach. There's a story that during the Holocaust, the Israelis were able to save 850,000 Jews, Romanian Jews. All they had to do is give the Nazis 500 trucks, and they had a deal. And there was one Russian Marush, his name was Greenbaum. And Greenbaum said, no. It's better to have, this famous saying that he said, better to have one cow in, I forgot, Ir Charad, whatever, some place in Eretz Yisrael. One cow is better than 1,000,000 Jews with white socks. He didn't appreciate that they were from or whatever it was, and they made the decision they're not going to go for the deal. And they didn't go for the deal. His grandson became a Baal Tshuva, and in fact was in Bet Shemesh today, and he was part of Degel Torah, and he went into the Stipler, and he told the Stipler the story, and the Stipler told him, you know what a big schos it is that you became a Baal Tshuva for your grandfather? Now your grandfather is going to be zoicha to go to Gehenim. He's going to be zoicha to go to Gehenim. That's the schos. That's what the Mishnah is saying over here. They don't even have a schos to go to Gehenim. They're nothing. They're not. Imagine a neshama with, you can't go here, you can't do anything. It's the worst thing for the neshama. If you go to Gehenim, so eventually you come out of Gehenim and you're pure and you're tar, you go into Gan Eden. It's a schos to go to Gehenim. Dor haflaga einlam chelik l'olam haba. So hold on a second. Let me just show you. I forgot to show you the Dor HaMabul. Beautiful picture. This is all original art from our artist Yoshi. This is Dor HaMabul. Oh, thank you. Do you want to see it here? You see it this way. It's even better. You can see the Teva in the background, and they're standing on a high mountain hoping to be saved. That's the Dor HaMabul. Is that the Teva? Why not? What do you see that's different? That's point you just don't see. You don't see. This is the Dor HaFlaga. They built a tower to go up, and one of the pshatim, one of the three groups we're going to see to do war with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem scattered them across the entire world. So the Mishnah Darish is both from they're gone. Anshe's Daim, we're going to see tomorrow what terrible, terrible people they were. We know from school that a guest came, and if his feet didn't fit into the bed, they would chop the feet off. It was too short. They would stretch the person. Many, many stories that the Gemara is going to tell us about. They were terrible people in Ruchnis, in Gashmias, in Ben Al Chaver, Ben Al Makom. They're terrible people. They don't get Avol, says the Tanakama, Oimdin Badin. They will get a din, they'll get punished, but they won't have Olam Haba. The people from Dor HaMabul and Zdaim don't have a din at all. They won't stand to the judgment. Top of Kuf Ches, Amud Aleph. Ba'das tzadikim elu anshe sdaim. So they said, it says in the pasuk they won't stand with the tzaddikim, but they will stand in din with the Rishayim. Miraglim, the spies, the 10 spies, Elam Chelek La'olam Haba. We did here, the spies, they took back the fruit to show how big the people are. Shalom Aleichem to all the people that are alive right now. I wish I could see you. Maybe if there's a way to communicate with the people that are on Zoom, maybe. I'm trying to figure out a way to do it. But I see there's 47 people live on YouTube. Shalom Aleichem is another one. This is how they carried the grapes. So, the Meraglim Elam Chelik L'Elam Abba Shem Avayimus Ma'anoshim Motzia Divas Haaretz Rob B'Mageifa Lefnei Hashem. They all died in front of Hashem. Vayimus B'Elam Hazeh B'Mageifa in the Mageifa L'Elam Abba. Dora Midbar Elam Chelik L'Elam Abba. We have to understand what this means. All the people that went through the Midbar, they don't have a portion in Elam Abba. So we're going to have to see Tzadikim also. Ve'inoilim Badin. They don't even get a din. Shenemar B'Midbar Zeh Yitamu. They should finish up. V'Sham Yimusim. That's where they'll die. Birevach. Lezo Omer Alim Omer Isfuli Chasidoi. Gather by Chasidim Korsi Brisi Olei Zovach. No. There are people, the Chasidim, that will be receiving Olam Haba. Adas Korach Eino Asido La'alois. We know that the ground swallowed up the people of Korach. They will not come up from there. Shenemar, but the Chas Aleim Haaretz, in this world, and they will be lost from within the nation L'Olam Haba forever and ever. Hashem, when do we say this, Rabbi Yisai? We say this nifter on Rosh Shoshana. This is the tefillah of Chana. Hashem, she davened for Korach. Hashem, you kill, but you also do tchis hamesim. Moyer Cha'al, you put them down into the Gehenim. Vayal, but you lift them up, you bring them out. Even b'nei Korach. Torah Rabbana. As the Mishnah started off talking about the Dara Mabel, says the Gemara, Dara Mabel, Elam Chelik L'Elam Haba. How do I know? The Gemara was telling us about, the Mishnah tells us about the din, L'Yadin Ruchi. But how do you know they don't have a Chelik L'Elam Haba? Shenema v'yimach es kol hayikum. Hashem erased everything that existed, Asher al pnei Adam, anything that's on earth. V'yimach es kol hayikum b'Olam hazeh. V'yimachu min aretz L'Olam Haba Birevach. So you see that they don't have a portion in the world to come as well. Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseira Imer Lo Chayin V'Lo Nidoinin Shenemar L'Yadin Ruchi Ba'adam La'olam Lo'idin V'Lo Ruach. They're not going to have Tchis HaMeisim, and they're not going to be judged. The neshama shouldn't go back into their body. At the time of Tchis HaMeisim, Nishmasam Kashalem Begeherim. So Hakadosh Baruch Hu is going to insert the neshama into their body, so to speak, into them, only for the purpose of them suffering more in Gehenim. Shenemar, Taharu Chashash, Teledu Kash, Ruchachem Eshtechalchem. Your ruach, your neshama, the fire should eat it. It should consume it. Torah Rabbana. So now we have a whole sugi about Dar Hamabel. Dar Hamabel go. Why was the Dar Hamabel so haughty? Because Hakadosh Baruch Hu gave them so much. From being, I tell my kids, right now, the only person sitting in front of me, this hardly ever happens. Sometimes I do say shir to myself, but now the only person live is my son. Even my son-in-law disappeared. So I could talk to you one-on-one. Nobody's listening. To be spoiled, I hope we didn't spoil you, because to be spoiled is not a good thing. The Dara Mabel, the reason why they did such terrible things is because they were spoiled. Hashem gave them too much. Sometimes when you give somebody too much, you stop appreciating them. You don't have a karas hatayv. The Al-Shich says that the nisayon of being rich is harder than the nisayon of being poor. The person who's poor, his nisayon is that he wants to steal, and he swears falsely that he didn't steal. Those are basically his nisayonis. The nisayon of a rich person, of a wealthy person, is that he becomes a kaifer bakal. He starts thinking that he's so great and he has so much that he forgets about the Rebbeinu Shalom. Umaksiv behem, So this dar, the Gemara is bringing a bunch of psukim to say how, what's the word I'm looking for? That everything, whatever the word is. Their houses didn't have any fear. They didn't have the staff that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, dishes out punishment. The bulls, even the animals were perfect. They were able to impregnate the cows. To falid parosoi v'loy tishakel, and the cows never miscarried. And you didn't have to worry about the children, who's going to babysit. Everybody, the kids took care of themselves. They danced. There was always a kumzes. They were all sitting and dancing and singing all day. It was a great time. They spent their days in good. It was all good. And what caused it? We don't want your ways. Who is this Hashem that we have to worship him? At the most, we need his rain. That's the most. You know what? Even that we don't need. We have the rivers and all the water sources. We don't need Hashem. In that good that I gave them, I give them rain, I give them water, give them the sources, and from that they're gonna upset me. You know what? So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna punish them with that water. Maybe it's and that's why Hashem brought the water. The gaiva came from the circle of the eye. It's similar to water. Why is it similar to water? Because water source comes. There's a how do you say a mayan in English? A spring. Very good. The spring of water is a small hole in the earth, and out comes water. So too the eye has a small hole, and that's where tears come out. They were very haughty. They grabbed women without permission. So Baruch punished them with the eye. All the springs opened up from the ground, and all the openings in Shemayim opened up, and then it started to rain and consume the world with water. With the word Rabba, they destroy the world with Rabba. And Hashem punished them with the word Rabba. What does that mean? It says in the pasuk, it's very great how evil they are. There are 3 springs that are left over in the world. Belua de Goder, this place, Belua de Goder. V'chamit Tveria. And the hot springs of Tveria. Ve'ino Rabasi Deviram. What are the hot springs of Tveria? So I always used to show this picture. This is a picture of monkeys enjoying natural hot springs in Japan. But Lamaisa today, with the new technology that we have, we could show videos. So let me show you the video. Here goes. This one. Boom. Oh, yeah. It's geschmack.
Why don't you just show the real Chamei Tveria?
That we could do also. It's not as geschmack as this. Come on. How geschmack is this? Monkeys, mamish, enjoying themselves, falling asleep from the heat. This is Chamei Tveria. Look at this. No, I'll show you Chamei Tveria. We don't have a great video of Chamei. You want to see Chamei Tveria? It's coming up right after this. You go in there with the babies. Next. Chamei Tveria. It's gewaldic, but there's nothing like a bunch of monkeys taking a schwitz and snow on their heads. It also reminds me, in Vail, we don't have it here in Park City. They have it everywhere, but in Vail, I used to take you guys So after skiing, a hard day of skiing, we used to go for hours. And then you go into the hot tub, and it's outdoors, and a lot of times you would snow, but you don't care about the snow. It hits you in the head, but the heat of the tub was so geschmack, soothed out those muscles, ready for another day. Gewaldig. Let's show this. Why not? This is in Beitar today. While I was giving the Hebrew shir, I was 10 minutes ahead of them, so we're able to see them live. You can even see the new background in Beitar. Check this out. It's unbelievable how many people come around the screen. Be'ezer Hashem will have in many more places. We also have in Rechasim, and we have a few more places in the works. And this was live in the Beis Medrash from the Hebrew shir. So I was giving the Hebrew shir, and they came. All these people came. That's unbelievable, unreal. I love this. You have the guy Oshi with the kippah sruga. Well, no, he doesn't have a kippah sruga anymore. I need some kippah srugas here. I don't have. Huh.
So guys won't come if you're not there.
They don't come if I'm not there. Okay, I got it. Let's go back there. So, I had a little bit of a problem, but at Baruch Hashem, I found the answer this morning. There's a shita that says that, for sure, I don't think everybody holds like that, but the Gemara for sure definitely says this shita that the Mabel didn't exist in Eretz Yisrael. There's no Mabel in Eretz Yisrael. So why is the Gemara here saying that there are 3 water sources that remain from that time? So one of the pshatim that I saw was that, yes, there's no Mabel. In other words, water didn't come down from Shemayim in Eretz Yisrael, but water from the ground did come up. Says Gemara, Ki hishchitz kol basar. We're like smack in the middle of the giant Amud. Right, like just ignore the top part where it's very wide. The lines are wide in the middle. Ki hishchitz kol basar is darkei al haaretz. Amar Rabbi Yochanan melamed she'irbiu behema al chaya. There's a hashchasa. I don't even know how to say hashchasa in English. How do you say hashchasa? No, that's shchita. Hashchasa, liot mushchat. A mushchas emidas. They were mashchis the world. How? They took 2 different species of a behema and a chaya, put them together. They mated them. V'chaya al behema, v'hakol al adam, v'adam al hakol. And man went with the animal, and animal with man is noirvayim. V'omer rababa barkana. V'kulam. I heard, I don't know if this is true, we have to look it up, that in San Francisco, some of the animals there, because of the hashchasa that is in San Francisco, the animals themselves also became mushchas. Kach. I read this once. I don't know how accurate it is. All the animals after the Mabel, they went right back to where they were normal. They stuck to their min, and they didn't go outside of their type of animal. Besides one bird called the Tushlimi. Hashem told Noach, "Kates called basar balafanai." Look and see how bad stealing is. And unfortunately, we have Adiyam Azeh. The Gemara says that the most Jews are nishal in stealing, but even today you see that when it comes to taking money from somebody, people are not so careful. So the Gemara says you have to be very, very careful when it comes to stealing. Why? Shari Dara Mabel, by the way, and I want to point out, I said this then, I'll say it again now. Hamas. In the Targum, Hamas, he says Chatufim, the hostages. That's what he calls Hamas. So, Shari Dara Mabel over alakol. Dara Mabel did everything. We just saw. We came to Tarayis, to everything. When did HaKadosh Baruch Hu decide to bring the Mabel to the world? When they started stealing. The Gemara is going to explain this pasuk. Not Mash explain, but the Gemara is going to go into it. Stealing, the gezel became like a staff. And he came in front of the Rebbeinu Shalom and said, Rebbeinu Shalom, Noya is like a lashon almost of Noyach. Noach was also supposed to die in the Mabul. But he found favor in the eyes of Hashem. So yeah, he was supposed to go with the Mabul, but Hashem had special. He liked him a lot. He loved him, and he saved him. So what does it mean, this lashon vayinachem Hashem? So we know the lashon vayinachem. We know it from nechama, from a person that you go be menachem aval. So the Gemara says yes, it might have to do with that, and the machlokes. It's great that I made graves, mass graves for Klal Yisrael, for the world. My mashma. It says by Yosef that he was menachem his brothers. In other words, HaKadosh Baruch was happy that he destroyed the world. No, he wasn't happy. It's not a good thing that I made them graves. Another pasuk. He regretted the bad that he spoke to do to his nation. So Mela, he wasn't happy that he brought them out. Now the famous machlokes Rashi brings. Everybody knows this when we learn Noach. Ela told us Noach. Noach ish tzaddik tamim hayah b'deresav. Noach was a tzaddik in his generation. Omer Rabbi Yochanan b'deresav v'lo b'deres acherim. You have to be medayik. He was a tzaddik in his generation, but not had he lived in other generations. Let's say of Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, he wouldn't be a tzaddik. If he managed to remain a tzaddik in his generation when there's such hashchas in the world, could you imagine if he lived in the daughter of Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, he would be even that much greater. So we'll see that it seems like there's no machlokes really how great he was. Let's just for argument's sake, let's say Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov are 10. Noach, even according to Rabbi Yochanan and Shlakish, both hold, let's say he was a 3. The question is, what would happen if you take that 3 and put him in the dar of Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov? Would Noach remain a 3 or he would become a 10? Says Rish Lakish, he would become a 10 because if he was able to be a 3 in such a generation, certainly he would be a 10. Rabbi says no. So now we bring 2 Mishalim that are very similar, but it brings out the point of each one. So he says, Omer b'chanina, Mashal the Rabbi Yechiel Moshe. It's similar to Mashal Chavis Shel Yayin Shoysim Menachem B'Martev. There's a barrel of wine in the cellar Shel Chometz, and there was a bunch of barrels of vinegar. Because it's within the vinegar, so you could smell the aroma of the wine. But once you remove this barrel of wine, you don't really smell it. In other words, that's Rabbi Yochanan Shita, that if you take Noach and you bring him in the dar of Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, he wouldn't be anything. If you take perfume and you bring it into a place with smelly things, you'll smell the perfume. It's so powerful, it overpowered all the tinoifes, all the waste and everything, and you're able to smell the perfume. Certainly, when it comes to a place that everything smells good, of course you'd smell him. So Noach also, if you brought him to a place in the dar with so many the reason why you have the double charts mark at the end is because I couldn't get into Kuf Tes, and I just started putting charts into the end of Kuf Ches, so don't worry about them. Next, HaKadosh Baruch Hu erased everything that was on the face of the earth. As the Gemara, question bothers a lot of people. Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu erase the animals? What did they do wrong? Well, we saw what they did wrong. They had relations with humans and everything else, but a person makes a wedding for his son. He brought in catering and everything, and he built a nice chuppah. Liyama meis benai, and his son dies right before the wedding. Terrible tragedy. He goes and gets rid of all the food and everything that he did for the chasana. Why? I did all this for my son. But now that he's dead, why do I need a chuppah? What do I need a wedding for? I just heard a story that somebody made a chasana and the chassan didn't show up. He didn't show up. So the father of the chassan told his friends, let's sit, let's enjoy. He spent tens of thousands of dollars on the meal and on the music. Let's sit down and have a nice geschmack meal. Why should we go home and waste it? Some people just take it and throw it all out. If I'm not going to marry off my son, what do I need a chasana for? Baruch says, why did I create all these animals? I created all these animals so that MDY could go on a safari and enjoy it. That's why I created it. Or so that you guys could buy meat from Benny, Rudnick, and have geschmack steaks. But it's all for human consumption. It's for man. Achshav, Shalom Choytei. But now that humans started sinning, what do I need? Because so everything died, including all the animals, besides one thing, everything that was on the dry land, they all died. But anything that was in the water didn't die. So the question is, how did they not die? How did they survive? If we're going to see soon, the water was boiling water. How could they survive in boiling water? The answer is that everything that was in the original water, in lakes and in oceans, didn't boil. It's anything that came above that and beyond that, that's what boiled. Rabbi Yosef from Kisaria says, Kalhu al pnei mayim, floats on the water. Tekula chalkasam ba'aretz. You got to curse. They'll be cursed. Their portion in this world. Noach would go, and we learned this in kindergarten. Didn't you learn this? What did Noach tell the people? Do tshuva. It's right here from the Gemara. All our moros and ganenets, they all learned this Gemara. Asu tshuva, do tshuva. HaKadosh Baruch is going to bring hamabul. He's going to, your bodies will be scattered on the water like a bunch of flotation devices. They're light and easy on top of the water. People are going to use you and say, you should be cursed like the dar of the Mabul. What does it mean? Shouldn't go through the vineyards. They're making way through the vineyards. The Cohn takes this out because it doesn't really have to do with the sugya. The next part does. They'll tell Noach, really, Hashem is going to bring a Mabul? So let him bring the Mabul. What is he waiting for? He says he can't do it right now. Pray the achas yeshli. He has one little bird. Misushelach is still alive, and we cannot bring a Mabul on the world when Misushelach is still alive. Imkain. So they said, nifter, derech kramim, the holding of kufches on the base on top. If so, we're not going to go and do tshuva. Turning of the daf for Nissim is by Adar Global, one-stop shop for all your financial needs. But innovations that will see in honor of our sons, Kalmo, 12 years old, Egin Yisrael, 9 years old, for learning Sanhedrin with Reb Eli Yeshurkaya. Dorash Rava, what do you see here? Who's this big tzaddik? What's this? Noach is a big tzaddik. Let's hear. Favos nicht. I didn't put it in. Somebody did. Noach was a big tzaddik.
Noach was a big tzaddik.
Ay. Who do we sing it for? Akiva. Akiva Solkowitz is a big tzaddik. Akiva is a big tzaddik from his kepelet to his fisala. Yeah. Valdik, thanks for helping me out. Okay, we go back there. Dorish Rama. Interesting pasuk, hard to understand. Roga. Melamed says the Gemara, Noach will tell them things that are strong like fire. What happens when you tell somebody Musar? They embarrass you. And he didn't care. He kept on giving them Musar and they kept on embarrassing him. And he kept on giving them Musar and he kept on embarrassing them. They called him an old man. Teva Zulama, why are you building a teva? I'm doing this because pretty soon there's going to be a giant mabel. Let's think about it. What could HaKadosh Baruch Hu already give us a mabel with? In mabel shalesh, let's say he'll throw fire in us. We fireproof devices. It's called Alisa. We're not scared of fire. And if he's going to bring upon us water, maybe where is it going to come out of? The ground. We have metal plates. Wherever the water comes out, we're going to plug it up immediately. We're going to put these metal plates. Nothing. We're not worried at all. This reminded me while I was giving the Hebrew shir, so I'll just repeat it because in the middle while I was saying the Hebrew shir, I was like, this is literally what happens every single time I meet somebody. I tell them, no, how much Torah do you learn? Not so much. Or they say, I have a chavrusa. Really, I have a chavrusa, sure. But let's say you have how many times a week do you learn? 4 times a week. And what about the other days? No, I don't learn. Now you go on this whole thing. How can you not learn all those days? You wear tefillin every day, right? So how do you not learn Torah? So then the excuses start. And I think we need to understand these excuses because you have to know you have to knock that apikoros out. You have to know what kind of excuses people say. I mean it as a joke. They're not apikoros, just nebuch. We have to help them. They always say the same 4 or 5 excuses. Excuse number 1, I don't have time. I'm telling you, I know, that's baloney. Of course you have time. So if you don't have time, how do you have all that time to watch YouTube and sports and then listen to the stupidity on the radio and all that stuff? How do you have time? Of course you have time. What, you don't travel? You don't go from here, place A to B? Well, you don't have time. Of course you have time. Then here comes the big one. Oh, it's way too fast. I don't remember anything. I don't recall. So what? So what's the alternative? Not to learn anything? It's better not to learn anything is better than learning something. So learn if you don't. It's just an excuse. No, when I learned Be'ion. Okay, so we go through all these things. You have to know all the excuses, but they're all excuses. My wife doesn't let. I have to do carpool. Heard it all, but it's all the same. Nobody ever came up with a new one. Once in a while, there's a good one. I say, wow, I tell them, that's good. I've never heard that one before. That's a great one. Very, very rare. Why am I saying this? Look how silly these excuses are over here. If Hashem is going to bring water from the ground, they're going to put a plate of metal. Really? Has anybody ever tried to stop water coming out of the ground? If there's a flood, if like sometimes one of these pipes burst, you think you're going to put a piece of metal on it, it's going to stop the water from coming out? I mean, how dumb is this? Or if Hashem is going to pour a bunch of fire from the heaven, I'm going to put this alisa on me. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to burn your house down. Nothing. Zero. Your car is not going to go 5. And then they continue. I have another thing, maybe a sponge, whatever this is. It's crazy. I have a way out of it. All these water, some of these places in America now, the 25 inches of rain. No, we have a special device that gets rid of it. Oh, this is geschmack. Here's a new chiddush that I didn't have by the Hebrew. Ikesh shmoy. Ikesh means I'm stubborn. I'm stubborn with my dumb excuses. Stop with the dumb excuses. Here's a Gemara. Here's a free Masechtas Makos. Start tomorrow. That's what you tell the guy. Stop with the excuses. Oh, that's why I guess I was mechaven to my own advertisement for Makos. Stop with the excuses. There are no excuses. That was Nisan Gans's line, I think. No excuses, Rabbi Isai. Omar lehem, hu mevi mibein ikvei ragleichem, shenemar nochain l'moyadi rogel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will, according to the child-friendly pshat in Rashi, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bring water from your foot. It'll just come out of the foot. In other words, Hashem has a million ways how to bring a mabul. You think you could stop him if he wants to bring water? What kind of shtusim are you saying? You should know that the water of the mabul was hard like shichva zera, meaning that it was boiling and it was thick. So Rabbi Victor Miller explains, he could just explain it, he says, based on simple stuff, he says, we have things called lava that come out of the earth. And the super, super hot, I didn't look up, but I don't know, hundreds of degrees probably. And look at this, how it flies out of the ground, the force and the power. It's so hot under there, it just shoots up in the air, 20, 30 feet, 100 feet, 150 feet, whatever it is. He says that's how the mabul was. You want to know, it wasn't like a supernatural thing. This hot, if water came out from the ground, so it could be super hot. Why did they get boiling water? Because their avera was with arayis, with zera, so Mela, HaKadosh Baruch Hu punished them with boiling hot. The waters went down. In other words, that the water went from boiling, it cooled off. And after 7 days, the Gemara says, what's the 7 days? We know that Noach for years was telling people to do tshuva, and all of a sudden, all of a sudden 7 days. Where did the 7 days come into? After Mr. Shelach died and there was Avelos for 7 days, then you can have a mabul. When you're masped at tzaddik, you can have a disaster. We had the 6 days of creation plus Shabbos, 7. So Mela Shivas is referring to the Sheshis and Mebreshis. Baruch changed the whole thing. The sun came up from the opposite direction of where it usually comes up. It came out from Ma'ariv instead of Mizrach. In fact, it wasn't even light during the time of the Mabul. Baruch said, okay, do tshuva. For 120 years, Noach was building the table. He gave him a large amount and he gave him 7 days. One more 7-dayer. Let me see, I'll put it in here, even though it's not so geschmack. But it's not so geschmack to drink in front of everybody from a bottle. So I'll put it in my coffee, even though I don't like that.
Why don't you just take a different cup?
Nah, because then you'd have to get up in the middle. It's good. It's good. Coffee flavored Pellegrino. It's a new thing we should invent. MDY special. Coffee flavored Pellegrino. Gewaldig. Oh, sorry. The pshat is, Shivas Hayomim means, like, we know that the world is going to exist for 6,000 years, and then you have 1,000 years that we discussed, and here in Chelek, 1,000 years of nothingness. But every day is 1,000 days for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that's the 7 days. HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed them the Olam Haba. He gave them a little bit of Olam Haba. Look what you lost. Here. Had you behaved normally, you would have had this Olam Haba. Now you're not going to get it. Lazi, how many kosher animals, let's say cows, how many cows went onto the table? Do you remember? Cows, kosher cows. This is my big my tuition money at work over here. Kosher cows 7. 7 and 7. I just want to know if it's 7 plus 7. 2 is the non-kosher animals. Shivas hayavim shetivam me'enon el mabok k'di sheyedu ma toiva manu mehem. Sorry. Because I'm at shiva ish v'ishtoi. So it says in the Torah, you take 7. It seems like it was only 7. We learned that 7 plus 7. 7 zcharim, 7 akevas. But it says a very interesting lashon in the Torah. Ish v'ishtoi. A man and his wife. Now, do animals have wives? They get married? What's pshat? Ish was l'behema mi'isla. It's referring to animals that didn't have relations with other animals. So it seems like Rashi, even though he says never had relations, but it means that they didn't have relations with another type of animal. They didn't come out of their type. How did Noach know what animal was a good animal to bring on the teva that didn't have relations with other animals? He would pass them by the teva. Here we have Givaldic, original art from Yoshi. Here we go. Here are the animals, the couples, the non-kosher animals going in. If the door opened up for them, then you knew that this is a good animal. Those who came to the teva, they were kosher to begin with. It says you should make the teva out of wood called goifer. My goifer, what's goifer? This reminds me of what was the man? It says the Torah kitzapichas b'dvash. So, and what's the pichas b'dvash? So, no, the Torah said, but it doesn't help me. Mavliga doesn't help me. I don't know what goifer is. I don't know what mavliga is. They say it's a type of cedar. Ramila gulmish. So you should bring light into the teva. How do you bring light into the teva? Bring these precious stones, and they give off light. Today, there should be as much light like there is in middle of the afternoon. There should be one amma on the top of the point of the teva. It should be one amma wide. That's how the teva will last through the big storm. There's 3 floors. Tasel. The bottom floor is for the garbage. And the middle floor is for the behemoths. And the upper one is for humans. There's the famous joke they say in Israel. It works much better in Hebrew. The question is, as we're going to see, there's so many animals. There's tens of thousands, millions of types of animals, right? I don't know how many. Millions of animals. So how is so much? How is the room on that table? I'm going to see that Shem complained how hard it was. It was very, very difficult. So the question is, how come Noach didn't make an extension to the teva? He should have built another floor. He should have pulled out a little porch or something. So the answer, because if the people living on your first floor are garbage, and the people living on your second floor are animals, so then they're not going to allow you to make an extension. It only works in Eretz Yisrael because everybody's trying to make extensions, and you have trouble with the neighbors, and they go to the authorities, and this and that. So they call them garbage and animals. And Noach sent out the raven to see if the water receded. The raven had a tremendous answer to Noach. Now I saw a discussion whether the raven actually spoke or didn't speak. I don't have a problem saying that the raven spoke. In other words, it spoke in bird language. And I understood bird language. We see throughout Shas that the different people that understood the language of animals. The famous story with a person who really wanted to learn bird language, and he said, no, he can't teach him. Then he learned the bird language, and what happened was he heard the bird saying that there's going to be a theft, and he prevented the theft, and he said this guy's house is going to burn down, and he understood the bird saying that, so he protected his house, he had water, and then that was it. So HaKadosh Baruch had to kill him because all these kaparas that HaKadosh Baruch wanted to give him, he prevented. So you see that people did understand the language of the birds. Rabbi Yochanan or Rabbi Yonasan, the Gemara says they understood sichas shedim, sichas this. Somebody's at the door. I don't know if the guy wants to come to the shir or whatever. Says the Gemara, your Rebbe hates me, HaKadosh Baruch Hu hates me, and you yourself hate me. Why does your Rebbe hate me? HaKadosh Baruch Hu hates me. Why? Because he said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said from the kosher animals it should be 7, mitmeim shnayim, and from the non-kosher only 2. So you see that he doesn't like me. I'm a non-kosher animal, and he treats me differently. Now, what is the real reason why from kosher animals there's 7? Shalom Aleichem, come on in. We're almost done. We're 5 minutes away from the end of the shir, but you can sit down and have a drink Why is it, here, we're talking about Noach. You all know about Noach, right? So why is it that Hashem said that on the Teva, there should be 7 kosher animals, but only 2 non-kosher animals? And the reason is because after the Mabul was over, HaKadosh Baruch Hu asked them to bring karbanos. In order to bring a carbon, you have to bring a carbon from the kosher animals. Plus, that's what you're allowed to eat. So we needed more animals to start off with to populate the world with the kosher animals, the cows, the sheep, the goats, etc. So the raven tells Noach, you also hate me. Why? Why do you tell me to go check what's going on outside? You should have taken something from a pigeon. There's a lot of pigeons over here on the table. There's 7. So take one of the pigeons. The worst comes to worst, he doesn't make it. So there'll be more pigeons. But if I don't make it, if I get sick and I don't make it back, the world is going to be missing one. I'm going to be extinct. There's not going to be any more ravens. And now this is a tough one. He says, maybe you want to marry my wife. The raven is telling Noach, maybe you want my wife. So maybe you're trying to send me out to kill me so you can have my wife. Amar Loi, so Noach tells the raven, Russia, you're Russia. But mutali nesrli, I wasn't allowed to have relations with my own wife during the whole period of the Mabul. But nesrli lekolchkin, so certainly on something that's also to me, an animal, certainly I'm not allowed. How do you know there's no relations on the Teva? We have 2 psukim. The first pasuk describes who goes on the Teva. It puts the males by themselves. You and your sons. And your wife is separate. So you see that the men and the women were separate on the Teva. In other words, they couldn't have relations. But when they came out of the Teva, it says, it puts him and his wife together in one category. And your sons and their wives together. In other words, Hashem was matter afterwards. You see over here, it was usher to have relations. There were 3 that couldn't control themselves and were over on that isser. And they got a punishment for it. Who were the 3? Kelev, the dog, Vayrev, and the raven, V'cham, and Cham. Kelev nikshar. So the dog's punishment is that he has a leash. That's one pshat in Rashi. Orev rock. His zera comes from his mouth. Cham lokabayrai. Cham had a change of coloring. That was his punishment. So eventually it didn't work out well with the raven. So Noach sent out the pigeon, the famous picture that everybody knows, the picture of the pigeon with the olive leaf. That's a dove. Pigeon, dove. No? Same thing. From over here you see that the kosher animals, they hang out with tzaddikim, because it says that Noach sent the dove from within him, from him. In other words, it was in his bedroom or whatever. It had an olive leaf in its mouth. The pigeon said to Hashem, I prefer to have bitter food. So we were on a tiyul. I said this a bunch of times, but Lazi is serious, I'll say it for him. I was on a tiyul with my family, and for whatever reason I saw on an olive tree. I said, this would be a good idea. Let me taste it, because I like olives. So I grabbed it off the tree, put it in my mouth. I said a bracha, ate it. It was the most bitter thing. It was a vial. It stuck to the inside of my mouth. I couldn't get it out. I was like, water, soda, nothing. Like for hours, stuck in my mouth, that taste. So the dove says to Hashem, I prefer to eat things that taste like this bitter olive, but that it comes from you. Va'al you misukim kidvash, but I don't want something sweet like honey, misum biyad bas v'dam, and receive a gift from a human being. I don't want anything from a human being. So I thought maybe the pshat is that if you receive food from a human being, let's say somebody gives you a nice pizza, okay? So it says, hey, because he loves pizza, so I'm saying pizza. Or you guys like steak. The guy comes and gives you a good, fat, juicy steak. So what's the first thing that goes through your mind? You say, wow, thank you. You're amazing. Thank you for this unbelievable steak. But you forget for a moment that where does it really come from? It comes from Hashem. You forget to thank Hashem. And that's what the pigeon was saying. The dove was saying, I'd rather have something bitter, but it comes from you, so I could thank you at all times and never have that moment, that lapse in judgment saying, thank you to a human being. Yes, you have to thank the guy that gave it to you. But where does it really come from? Who really made this and who really gave it to me? That's Hashem. Says the Gemara, my mashma, the high tarif lishon the mizani. How do you see that this word tarif means sustenance, food? The chsiv hatrifeni lechem chuki. It says in the pasuk, the bread hatrifeni together with bread. So you see that sustenance. Each family was by themselves. Omer of Chana bar Bizna, Omer of Le. Oh, it's a very interesting story over here. Omer Le Eliezer l'shem Rabba. Eliezer was Avram's servant, the famous Eliezer, and he told Noach's son Shem. They called him Shem Rabba, the great Shem. He's asking him, how do you survive the teva? It was impossible. The job over there to take care of all these animals is not humanly possible. The first thing I thought when I read it, that's Rashi's pshat. I'm saying something else, not the pshat, just because it hit me. So I'm like, imagine a family living together during the corona. Remember how bad it was? Imagine if you couldn't leave your house for a moment, for over a year. You're stuck in a house together. How did you survive? That was the question. You know how many people got divorced then? How many the true colors showed? But he's asking him differently. How did you survive it? So now he goes into it. It was tremendous pain and aggravation. Why? Bria shedarka lachila b'yoyim hechalnu b'yoyim. How many species of animals are there? And you know, you go to the zoo, they have like these special rooms that for animals that are nocturnal, right? There are animals that eat during the night, they feed during the night. There are animals, most animals feed during the day. So he says, we had to take care of every animal and feed every animal. Lions eat meat, giraffes eat leaves, zebras eat grass. This one eats worms, that one eats. Each animal needed its own food. It's impossible. We were going crazy, running from here to there to there to there. We know the story that the lion didn't get fed once. He got upset at Noach and he hurt him. He made him lame. So he says, I'll give you a few examples. He says, if it was the nature of it to eat during the day, we fed him during the day. And if he ate nocturnally, he ate during the night. Zikasa. There's a type of bird called zikasa. My father Noach didn't know what it eats. He was eating a pomegranate. He was opening it up. A worm fell out of the pomegranate. So the bird jumped and ate it. Ate the. So now he knew that this bird eats worms. So he made a certain bran and waited for it to warm up. And then it had worms and it ate the worms. This is interesting. Not again. A lot of this I got the Gemara. We have 23 days of it. There's a lot of hidden Kabbalistic secrets in it. So certain things that we don't understand, even if we think we understand, that there's like deeper meanings to most of the stuff here. Aryeh Ishasa Zanse. The fever, when a person has a fever, he doesn't like to eat. He loses his appetite. So that gave him sustenance for a little bit. Domarav, Leibatsa Meshita, that can last for 6 days. Leitfei, Mitresa, Zanya Ishasa. I think in a lion, even these days, could go about a week. Maybe it's like 4 days. I don't remember. Between kills. It kills an animal, eats, but doesn't have to eat an animal every day. It could go a good few days. Do you remember what they said? What? Snakes. Different animals. But I mean, lion is like a big, well, we know camels could go for a very long time. But here the Gemara is saying 6 days it survived from the fever it had. But not more than 12 days. Zaina Ishasa. Because it sustained itself from the fever. Urshina, there's a type of bird called Urshina. Ashkina Abba, they're going to be safna tevasa. It was hanging out, it didn't come to the the dining room to eat. So my father Noach asked him, what, you don't want to eat? He was a considerate bird, a very considerate bird. So I see you're very busy running, giving food. I don't want to drive you crazy to give me food. So Noach was very impressed by this bird. So he gave him a bracha. He said, Amalei, Yerava delei tamus. You should have a bracha that you shouldn't die. In other words, you should have a very long life. You should have longevity. You should have you should have long life. So now Shem asks Eliezer. Before Eliezer asked Shem, how was it on the table? So now Shem asked Eliezer. The famous story in the Torah, there's a war between Avram Avinu and all the kings. Right? Question: if there's 318 people, it was just Avram and Eliezer by themselves. They fought off all these kings. Adon heichi avitu. How do you survive this? Hashem put Avram Avinu on his right side, and we threw dirt at the kings, just dirt, sand, and the dirt turned into swords. And we threw straw, and it turned into arrows. So here we have a picture of what it might have looked like. The dirt turns into arrows. And that basically is going to give us a great story for tomorrow. It starts off with the famous story of Nachum Gamzu, that he had this dirt. He was tricked. You have to hear the story tomorrow, but he was basically giving a gift to the king, and somebody stole the gift. There was like a bunch of jewels and everything, and somebody stole the gift. And instead of putting the jewels, he didn't want them to feel that there was nothing in the box, so they filled it up with dirt. So the king said, "We have to kill you. You brought me dirt." So Eliyahu Navi came and said, "Try the dirt out." And it turned out it was this dirt. So here, I don't want you to forget for tomorrow. Okay. The enemy is by your feet, so that's what it means. Avram Avinu is sitting next to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Siv mi here min mizrach tzedek re'el ragloi yidon lefanav gorim lochem yard yidon ka'afar charba. He takes the dirt will be like a sword, kikash, and the straw nidaf kash that will be like an arrow. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.